Alright, now, welcome back everyone to the Law Precision, the second installment of the WristClocks series. If you haven't heard the first book yet, it's linked down below in the full playlist. Once you complete that, you'll understand where we're at and not get confused about terminology. Now, let's continue. This video is chapter 19 and chapter 20. Hope you enjoy. Chapter 19, the signature that wasn't there. Sorry about that. Didn't want me cackling on camera. I'd have some water really quick. Alright, so chapter 19, the signature that wasn't there. The file wasn't in the archives. Not the digital ones, nor the physical drawers, but it existed. Brent stared at the yellow manila folder that had been slid across the desk, creased, unmarked, the paper's edges frayed as it ground beneath the shoe. It carried the faint scent of dust, something metallic, like it had been sleeping somewhere it shouldn't. No return address, no log entry, just a name and faded ink on the first page inside. Amelia Carr. Where had this come from? Claire asked. Brent shrugged. Receptionist said a man in a brown jacket dropped it off. No badge, no name, just left. Claire opened the file slowly. The first thing inside wasn't a document. It was a photo. Amelia, younger than in the grainy CCTV stills, stood outside what looked like a shuttered factory. The timestamp smeared into the illegibility. Her signature blouse and clipboard were there. She wasn't posing. She was watching something just off camera. Behind her, partially out of focus, stood a man with silver rimmed glasses. Gloved hands, eyes forward, unblinking. Brent's voice lowered. Is that him? I don't know, Clara said. But this is the second time he's been near her name. They kept flipping. Signed forms, blank employee rosters, half-completed permanent exemptions, and every initial document in the little letters scrawled in the margins. M.D. Hale. She filed the plans. What if she didn't approve the lead zones? Claire said, scanning a page labeled Variance Form 11B. What if she just moved them? Brand had layered a city map over the set of transparency schematics from 2011. Jesus, look. Victim 1, Bryce Deaton, found facing the eastern edge of the plant. Victim 4, Ernest Tower, rejected work orders from the same zone. Victim 6, Grace Delaney, had worked beneath the central cooling tower. All within the sections Amelia had restructured. She didn't carve the gears, Lola said quietly, but she had laid the blueprint. Brant tapped the last page in the folder. This isn't her confession. It's her reckoning. Interview. Celeste Carr, Amelia's sister. She had never spoken a word to the press, never returned the first wave of police inquiries. But she called back within 5 minutes. Amelia didn't disappear, she said over the speaker. Her voice had that brittle edge of someone forcing composure. She was taken off the clock. A pause hung in the air. What do you mean by that? Brant asked. I mean, she knew what the company did. They paid her to file things she didn't want to sign. I told her to get out, but someone else had already knew what she did. Who? I don't know. But she called me once crying, said, they're not following time anymore, they're inventing it. Then the line went dead. I never saw her again. LeClaire returned to the board. 6 names, 6 times, 1 looming gap. 7, he said aloud. Brant turned. What? She knew there would be 7. You don't build a clock in 6 hours. What's the 7th piece? She is. She's the missing gear, the one left out. A man with a second-hand clock placed it on his desk. He opened his journal, underlined a phrase copied from a foreign post. She's not a gear, she only filed the plans. His smile was small and deliberate. Every machine needs a blueprint. Then, in neat, surgical handwriting, he wrote his name again, just initials. R.C. Chapter 20. Before the gears align. The 7th hour had always been part of it. He just hadn't seen the full shape until now. R.C. stood beneath the sputtering exit sign of a condemned medical facility. The light trembled above him, weak and failing. Once, this place had been his, before the board reassigned him, before the first autopsy that didn't align with the clockwork he knew, before Amelia Carr signed the order that shut it down, the only wing that had been clean. She hadn't known, not really, but her signature had shifted something out of place. And then came the noise, steady and invasive, as if a foreign gear had been forced into the machine. He struck a match. The ember climbed towards his fingertips, its warmth tiny, pulsing in time with his own breath. Then he snuffed it out. Not yet. The time, the place, the final tooth in the gear. He had prepared them all. Amelia Carr would not be a victim in an ordinary sense. She would be the keystone, the last piece that would lock the face of clock into place. She's not dead, LeClaire said. Brant frowned. That's a hell of a thing to say about someone who's vanished 6 months ago. No, he said, tracing the lines of the time line with his finger. You're thinking like a cop. I'm thinking that like whoever did this. Noya wasn't an early mark. She was the end. All of this was built for her. The names fell into short order now. Each name was a tooth in a gear, a wheel. Each one was narrowing the turn until the last piece could fit. You're saying he's been constructing a mechanism out of people? Yes. And a car is the final component. Brant calls was short and decisive. Federal request, cell tower dumps, deep zoning searches. A light flared in the data. A burner phone, used twice in the last month, pinged within 400 feet of Amelia's old apartment. Let's get ahead of this. As if we aren't too late. We won't be. Not this time. The new letter waited, shorter than the others, but colder. Time must correct the aberration. She filed what she could never was hers, and now she will be set into the wheel, and the system will turn true. RC. In a quiet apartment above a shuttered hardware store, Amelia Carr opened her eyes. She was alive, but she was not free. The metronome clicked in the far corner of the room, each tick sharp in the stale air. Beside it, a broken clock rested on a chair, its face fractured, the minute hand perfectly still. It pointed to 7, and it was waiting.